denied sleep. Unsure if it was the cold or the worry, he tossed and turned. Beside him, Izzy slept. He judged by her deep rhythmic breathing she was in a far better place. The clock had moved on 15 minutes since he last looked. 5 o'clock dead on. The bells of Henslow Church confirmed it. Why us? Why now? He couldn't answer himself, but nor would the thought let him alone. Pulling the covers over his head challenged the cold. It was bitter in their bedroom, but it did nothing to drive away his angst. I can't disturb her, that's not fair, but she is my wife, and great in a crisis. He leant over to shake her. Watching her sleep, he couldn't bring himself to do it. The conversation played out in his head. Okay, creep downstairs, jot down my ideas, and come back with a cuppa. She'll never know. He had a plan. Action took over from thought. First one foot, trailed closely by a second, emerged from the covers. Before his body had time to follow, his feet rejoined him back in bed. My, it's cold out there. Shocked, he blurted out the words. Realising, he shushed himself. Don't wake her. Are you a man or a mouse? He was back in his head. Hesitating before answering, he dwelt on his response. Colin, get a grip. Slippers and socks are by the bed. Your dressing gown's on the back of the door. Quickly and quietly gather them up, then head for the landing. His thoughts and actions were in sync. Making his way downstairs, he remembered the third from the top produced a loud squeak. Stepping over it, he stumbled past the next 2 treads. In the dark, he'd misjudged the distance. He struggled to maintain his balance. Ricocheting off the walls like a pinball in an arcade machine, the bottom step came quicker than anticipated. But at least he was down, and in one piece. Gathering himself, he listened for signs of movement from Izzy. He heard nothing. Passing the coat stand, he grabbed a scarf and matching bobble hat and fingerless mittens. The central heating wouldn't come on for a couple of hours. It was so damn cold. The relentless northeasterly wind made it feel like Siberia. Poor buggers, he thought, they live with this most of the time. Slipping into the sanctuary of the kitchen, he dressed for warmth. The Rayburn offered some solace, but against the pernicious gusts growling in around the window and door, it was all but useless. He pulled the table and chair as close to the cast iron structure as he could. Pen at the ready and tea in hand, he settled into the task. Henslow Church bell rang 6 times. The wall clock confirmed it. He made several notes, nothing of any significance, more like headings. What he needed were incisive questions if he was going to get to the bottom of this. He wished Izzy was here. After all, it was her who started him off on this path of uncertainty. She must have sensed his needs. Her head popped round the door. Are you in there? She yawned as she spoke. I wondered where you were. Fully entering the room, she rubbed her eyes against the bright light. How long have you been here? He realised he nearly got away with it. Only a few minutes. She didn't like it when he couldn't sleep. Tea? I'm making one for myself. She pulled the chair out from the table. What are you doing? He didn't know if it was his wife or his mother speaking. Either way, he felt better she was there. It's what you said at tea time. You know, about the bypass coming through our farm. Colin, is that what's got you up, for goodness sake? It's only a rumour I heard in the village. You know what they're like. Take no notice. She cringed at the thought. Porridge and toast? How do women do that? From devastating news to breakfast needs in the same breath without batting an eyelid. He didn't ask. Yeah, great, thanks. He continued with his deliberations. Watching dawn break was a pleasure Izzy enjoyed, especially on a cold, frosty February morning. The farm took the brunt of any bad weather. The metre-thick stone walls proved more than a match. She felt reassured knowing the house had stood for a couple of 100 years. The various trees, shrubs, saplings scattered around the yard were bent near double with the weight of the hoarfrost. They glistened white. The water vapour crystal covered branches formed magnificent structures. Devoid of foliage, the tendril-like twigs, enclosed in the thick coating, lost their individuality of species, whilst assuming a uniformity of colour. Nature, despite the efforts of man, she thought, is responsible for extraordinary feats, and a blanket of hoarfrost is one of them. Have you seen outside? Lost in his deliberations, he didn't answer. She tried again. Have you looked out this morning? What? No, sorry, what did you say? Despite it being Saturday, he had no time for trivia, given the potential devastating news of them losing their farm and livelihood to a new road. The view from the window captivated her. Oh, nothing, love, just looking at the hall. Wondered if you'd seen it. What? A hall? He lifted his head to confirm what he'd heard. I'm talking about the hoarfrost. Anyway, that's a horrible expression. If any girl has to do that for money, I feel sorry for her. It must be dreadful, all those stinky men groping and slobbering. Now you've ruined it for me. I was thinking how amazing Mother Nature is, till you filled my head with disgusting thoughts. The sound of the post being pushed to the letterbox interrupted her. Oh, I wonder what exciting offers will be unable to resist today. Scurrying out to the hall, she returned. Here. She plonked a stack of letters in front of him. Too engrossed to notice, he slapped his pen on the table and flopped back in his chair. I stopped traditional farming because of paperwork, and now my new business of whole farming is under threat from road building. He shook his head. What does one have to do? While he talked, she sorted the post. Most went to recycling. One in particular caught her eye. I think you'll want to see this. Izzy pushed the envelope towards him.